Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Fantasy Pros Football Podcast. This is a short form video. I am Ryan Wormeli, joined by Pat Fitzmaurice. And this episode is all about Fitz because we are talking about his favorite early round picks. There's no fluff in this episode. We're going to dive right in and just hit on these guys. They are the cornerstone of your fantasy team, the foundation from which your fantasy championship will be born. These first 5 round picks. Fitz has picked one player in each round that is his favorite. Actually, I don't know. Did you do, Fitz, where these 5 together is the way you'd like to start your team? Was there strategy in that, or is it just in a vacuum, these are your favorite picks in each round, regardless of what you did the round before?
Sort of in a vacuum, and I wanted accessibility to be part of it. Because if I name Ja'Marr Chase as my favorite first-round pick, well, maybe only one player in each league gets a shot at Ja'Marr Chase. So that factors into it a little bit too.
Sure. So accessible picks in the first 5 rounds. Let's start off right at the very top. In round number 1, you obviously did not go Chase because he's less accessible. Where did you go with this?
Yeah, I went with Ashton Jeanty. He has an ECR of RB4 and a half-point PPR, number 11 overall. I, too, have Jeanty RB4, but I have him ranked 6th overall. I would rather have Jeanty than all of the late first-round wide receivers. Guys like Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., Nico Collins. So I would rather have Ja'Marr Chase or Bijan Robinson, but you would need a top 2 or top 3 pick to have a chance at those guys. So Jeanty, when there are running backs who go top 12 overall in recent NFL drafts, the results have been pretty good. There have been 6 drafted top 12 in the last 10 years. Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs in 2023, Saquon Barkley in 2018, Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette in 2017, and Ezekiel Elliott in 2016. That's a pretty good group. And for the most part, these guys have hit the ground running in year 1. And Jeanty's profile as a prospect is just so good. The dude just checks every box. Speed, check. Vision, check. Ability to handle big workloads, check. Pass catching, check. And the contact balance is just special. It is so hard to knock Ashton Jeanty off his feet. You just need a wrecking ball to do it. And maybe people aren't thrilled that he went to the Raiders. That was kind of the case last year with Brock Bowers, and we got a pretty great buying opportunity out of that. Jeanty goes to a team where his top backup is 33-year-old Raheem Mostert. No matter what Pete Carroll says about how he's going to use multiple backs, like Jeanty is going to be a workhorse. Pete Carroll is going to be 74 this season. He is in his golden years as a head coach. Do we think he is going to pull back the reins on a truly special young running back? Like Marshawn Lynch had 4 straight years of 300-plus touches when he was playing for Pete Carroll in Seattle. Also, Raiders offensive coordinator Chip Kelly likes to run his offenses at a fast pace. When he was coach of the Eagles for 3 years, they were 12th, 1st, and 2nd in offensive plays per game. Chip Kelly's first year in Philly, LaShawn McCoy led the league in carries with 314 and in rushing yards with 1,607. The next year, McCoy had 312 carries for 1,319 yards. Jeanty is going to get a lot of touches this year, and there's every reason to think he's going to be highly effective on a per-touch basis. So I can understand the reluctance to spend a first-round pick on a player who hasn't taken an NFL snap yet, but Jeanty is just a treasure chest.
Yeah, I don't really understand anybody negative on the landing spot. Like Geno Smith, I think, raises the floor of this offense a lot. They have a top 3 tight end. They have a couple of receivers that I at least like, even if they're not, mega superstars. And a coaching staff that I think will use Jeanty a lot. This is a great landing spot, in my opinion, and I fully expect him to be a great pick. The more I think about the first round, the more I want to be picking late in the first, and I just want to get one running back and one receiver of that Jeanty, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane group, and then that, Neighbors, Nico Collins, Brian Thomas Jr., Drake London, like you're not, all those guys are not going to be available at both picks, of course, but I think if you're picking late on the turn, you can maybe swing 2 of those guys. That to me feels like my favorite strategy early in drafts this year. Let's get into your second round pick, which includes one of those guys I just mentioned.
Yeah, remember how uneasy we were with the second round options last year, Worm? Like, the second round this year looks so much better and a lot of good options. And I think my favorite second round option is Drake London. Now, London's ECR is wide receiver 9, 16 overall. I also have him wide receiver 9, but I'm willing to take him 13th overall. I think London could leapfrog a bunch of the guys being drafted in front of him as late first round picks. London had career best numbers across the board last year in his third NFL season, 100 catches, 1,271 yards, 9 touchdowns. he had 158 targets. Only Jamar Chase and Malik Neighbors had more targets than Drake London last year. Michael Penix Jr. takes over as Atlanta's full-time starter at quarterback this year. I think he's a big-time upgrade over Kirk Cousins. Penix just has a world of arm talent. And Penix and London had real nice chemistry when Penix made 3 late-season starts last year. London had 22 catches for 352 yards and 2 touchdowns on 39 targets in those 3 games. I talked about Ashton Jeanty potentially benefiting from a fast offensive pace with the Raiders. The Falcons also go at a fast pace under Zach Robinson, their offensive coordinator. Atlanta's offense was 4th in neutral pace last year. So London is 6'4". He's got this huge wingspan and great hands. He looks like the heir to Mike Evans as the king-sized, win-at-the-catch point alpha receiver who reliably puts up big numbers year after year after year.
We just released earlier this week, Fitz, our accuracy rankings from last year's draft rankings at Fantasy Pros, and everybody, I would encourage you to go check those out, see how your favorite experts did from across the industry. Shouts to Andrew Erickson, our colleague, who was top 5, and Mike Mayer, who was top 10. Fantasy Pros as a team will do very well in that league if Drake London as well, because everybody here is very high on London. He's 16th in the overall ECR rankings. Amongst all players, you have him 13th, which is the lowest compared to Debro and Erickson, and yet you're already 3 spots higher than consensus. Debro has him 11th and Erickson has him 12th. So as a team, very, very high on Drake London this year. Clearly one of our group's favorite second-round picks. Let's go to round 3. Who do you have here, Fitz?
T. Higgins. His ECR is wide receiver 13, 29 overall. I know some people think that's aggressive for a guy who isn't even the lead receiver on his own team, but I actually have Higgins wide receiver 12, 24 overall. I've moved up Higgins in recent weeks because I started thinking about what his ceiling could look like in 2025. And look, there's certainly a leap of faith to be made with T. Higgins because of the injury concerns. He's missed 5 games in each of the last 2 years. Those hamstring issues are a little worrisome, but here's the upside case. Like, Higgins is a good player to begin with. He's averaged 9 yards per target for his career, almost 2 yards per route run. He scored 10 touchdowns in only 12 games last year. The Bengals passing game is just a machine. Like, I mentioned this on a show I did with Welsh and Joe Dolan last week. The lowest yardage total for Joe Burrow in any of his full seasons, 4,475 yards. The fewest passing touchdowns for Joe Burrow in any of his full seasons, 34. So the Bengals defense is likely to be bad. So Cincinnati is probably going to have to win games 38-35 or 31-28. They're going to have the pedal to the metal on offense all year long. T. Higgins stays healthy. He's going to put up big numbers this season, even with Chase around. But what if Jamar Chase was the one who got hurt and missed games? Over the last 3 years, in the 5 games Chase has missed, T. Higgins has had 31 catches for 511 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's 20 PPR fantasy points per game. I love T. Higgins as a swing for the fences option in round 3.
No argument with me in terms of the ceiling if Chase gets hurt. Do you think there really is a ceiling, though, if Chase stays healthy? Because even if you look at the years before the last 2 where T. Higgins missed a bunch of time, he played 16 games in 2020, 14 games in 2021, 16 games in 2022. He never topped 1,100 receiving yards. He didn't top 7 touchdowns in any of those years. Prior to this past season, that 7 touchdowns in 2022 was his high in his career. He's never been higher than wide receiver 17. When I think of T. Higgins, again, setting aside injury stuff, I feel like he's more of a floor play. Do you see a ceiling if Chase is on the field, or do you think he needs to get hurt for him to really elevate to another level?
I think there's a ceiling even with Chase on the field because, again, this defense is going to strain the Bengals offense and force them to be aggressive and throw a lot. Like, I think they're going to have some negative game scripts. And, 10 touchdowns in 12 games last year, Worm. Like, it's possible Higgins had not fully hit stride in his career. I think he's at the peak right now, and it's a good buying time.
All right, let's go to round 4 here. Before we do, I want to remind everybody that all of our 2025 consensus rankings and tiers can be found at fantasypros.com/rankings. I mentioned where the whole team is Drake London earlier. You can find all of our rankings there, navigate to different scoring systems. You can see our staff rankings compared to ECR expert consensus rankings. Again, that's fantasypros.com/rankings. Round 4, Fitz, who's your favorite pick?
Kenneth Walker III. Walker's ECR right now is RB 15, 41 overall. I have him RB 13, 34 overall, so I'm about half round ahead of consensus. I think the perceived health risk with Kenneth Walker is holding down his ECR and ADP. Like, Walker missed 6 games last year, 2 games the year before that. People are also probably a little nervous that Walker is a talented backup behind him in Zach Charbonnet, but I really like the outlook for Walker in Seattle's new offense. Seahawks are switching to primarily an outside zone running scheme under new OC Clint Kubiak. Outside zone really suits Walker. Like, friend of the show, Ryan Heath of Fantasy Points, recently noted that Walker averages 4.54 yards per carry on outside zone runs for his career. That's better than his career average of 4.2 yards per carry. Seattle also hired Rick Dennison as their running game coordinator, and Dennison used to work with Clint Kubiak's dad, Gary, in Denver back in the 1990s and 2000s, and the Broncos were always great at running the ball in those days. Yes, they had either Terrell Davis or Clinton Portis for much of that time, and those guys were excellent running backs, but the Broncos also got big one-off rushing seasons out of Reuben Drones, Mike Anderson, Tatum Bell, anonymous guys who thrived in the Kubiak-Dennison system. And when Clint Kubiak was the Vikings OC in 2021, Dalvin Cook had almost 1,200 rushing yards in just 13 games. The scheme works. Walker's going to be playing in a historically successful system that lets him do what he does best, get to the edge, make people miss. And, one other thing. Kenneth Walker had fewer than 30 catches each of his first 2 seasons. Last year, 46 in 11 games.
If you promised me that he was going to be healthy, let's, maybe miss a game here and there, but let's say he starts 16 games this season, I'd be taking Walker as like RB8 and in the middle of the second round, truthfully. Like, to me, where he is going is 100% a reflection of the injury past. I think if he's healthy, like, I could not be higher on Kenneth Walker this year. There's a very elite tier of the top 7 running backs, in my opinion. He wouldn't break into that. Although maybe he might finish in the back end of that, but I'd be ranking him directly behind that group. The fit is amazing. The talent's amazing. If he's healthy and on the field, I'm not even that worried about Charbonnet. I think he's going to be amazing this year. Round 5, last player here, who you got to build out the top 5 rounds of your ideal team.
So I'll be honest, Worm, there are not a lot of 5th-round options. I love it. Looks a little bit like last year's second round, where you're just trying to keep your head above water. So James Conner is my choice. His ECR is RB19, 49 overall. I'm only a little ahead of that. I have him at RB18, 47 overall. I'm generally not that attracted to older running backs with extensive injury histories. Conner is 30 now, and last season was the first time in his career that he didn't miss at least 2 games. But Conner is being drafted as a mid-range to low-end RB2, and last year he produced as more of a low-end RB1 or high-end RB2. He was RB11 in overall half-point PPR fantasy scoring, RB14 in fantasy points per game. The Cardinals' offensive line is actually pretty good for a change. Arizona was 9th in the run-blocking metric adjusted line yards. Conner adds value as a pass catcher. He had 47 receptions last year. And here's the sneaky appeal to James Conner, his schedule. The Cardinals open with the Saints, Panthers, and 49ers, who were all among the 6th worst teams last year in terms of fantasy points allowed to running backs. Then in weeks 4 through 7, Conner gets the Seahawks, Titans, Colts, and Packers, a pretty good set of matchups there too. Conner could get off to a really fast start this year.
Obviously, picking Conner here means that you're not really expecting a guy like Trey Benson to take over the backfield. What percentage chance, just very quickly, Fitz, would you give a guy like Benson taking over? Is it like there's only like a 10% chance, or do you see it more as like, 33, 40% chance?
No, on the merits, like 10% or less. Like,
okay.
I don't think we even know if Trey Benson is good yet, to be honest.
I think that's right. I just wanted to double check because there were some people who liked him. I liked him a lot going into last season and did not pan out. If you want more picks like these along with Fitz's full positional primers, go to fantasypros.com/kit and dominate every round of your draft with our fantasy football draft kit. Also, I want to let everybody know that this month, if you want a chance to win a signed James Cook Bills jersey for free, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com, all you have to do is subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel right now. Drop a comment below on any video, and that is it. We will be announcing a winner right here on the channel, so make sure to turn on those notifications so you can know when new videos are up and to claim your prize. Again, Fitz's favorite early round picks: Ashton Jeanty, Drake London, T. Higgins, Kenneth Walker, and James Conner. For Fitz, I'm Ryan Wormeli. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next time.